I would say it's pretty similar to the US, but a lot less physical. So growing up, I wouldn't hug. I think shake hands is like the maximum physicality you can go for. Yeah, I think it's also pretty universal as well. Eating good food, hanging out with friends, earning money, career advancement. I would say it's a lot less sports focused though, compared to other places, yeah. I would say just act normally, genuinely, and respect other people's personal space.
My name is Jaakko Johannes Kuoppamäki. I was born in Helsinki, Finland, but I moved to Redmond when I was 5 years old. So Finland is a very unique culture when it comes to happiness. We have a very strong stereotype, which is that Finnish people are never happy. You'll never see a Finnish person like smiling or laughing. Very rarely do they show those signs of happiness on the outside. So one example is when it comes to love. Like, I was talking to my mother about this, and she said her parents have never told her that they love her, which is just one example of how, you know, those states of happiness are usually hidden when it comes to expressing them. In Finland, happiness comes not from recognition or boasting or pride in your work, but rather just the very act of surviving onto another day. And in Finnish, there's a term for this called sisu, which is the embodiment of tenacity and just keeping on going no matter what. Yeah, so I have a good story about this. I was at a concert in Helsinki, and there was an American band playing, and they were really good. They were playing awesomely, but people weren't, you know, they weren't yelling or shouting, and they didn't have their hands in the air or anything. And at about halfway through the concert, the lead singer stops singing, and she looks at the audience and she says, "Are you guys even enjoying this?" And the audience responds, "Of course we're enjoying it. Just welcome to Finland. This is how we enjoy things here," with a quiet, dignified round of clapping at the end of each song, and that's it. Yeah.
My name is Minhalina Ahmad Fuad. I grew up in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. In my culture, I feel like happiness is often displayed when you're celebrating for like an achievement. So I feel like the rules of emotional display when I want to tell that I'm happy revolves around these two lines between sensitivity and gratefulness. In order for me to display my happiness, I have to show that I'm grateful that I'm getting this, so I'm happy about it. So maybe that could be portrayed as jumping up and down or smiling really broadly or something like that. But there's also this line between being very grateful and also being sensitive with the other people that are less fortunate than you. So I have to be sensitive, maybe by toning down my happiness in front of another person. I feel like happiness is based around achievements that would help to better improve your life, or like prosperity or something like that. I feel like Malaysian culture, you would be very happy if you achieve something that would make your life even better. For instance, landing a better job with higher paying salary, or being able to buy a house, or getting straight A's, which would open multiple doors to like better opportunities in the future. And I feel like that is the reason why that is because our country is a developing country, and we value things that would help improve our life, which make us be able to achieve better things in the future. So my advice is to avoid too much skinship because it could be disrespectful, and this may be because of religious purposes or like rules, but I also think the culture itself in Malaysia is that we kind of respect that boundary between people. It doesn't matter if it's between men and women, it's also between the same gender.
My name Shodara. I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia, but my family's Syrian, so my cultural heritage and context is going to be Syrian. We can be happy with each other as a family, so we can sort of express emotion and express happiness to each other as a family, but it's sort of tight-knit with that family, you know. I know personally my parents sometimes aren't very happy when I sort of overshare with friends, you know, so they like keeping it in the family, so those are sort of some of the cultural rules. Emotional connection with direct family members is one thing. In Syrian culture, it's very big to sort of be very close to your parents and your brothers and siblings, and so that's something that that is it's a pillar for the culture. And food. Just to be friendly. That's it, really, just be nice and people will be nice to you. It's sort of just the golden rule. Yeah.
Fran Djukic. I grew up in Zagreb, Croatia, capital city of the Republic of Croatia. So people are pretty much friendly to each other. It's a very family-oriented culture. So, you know, anybody who's necessarily somewhat related to you or someone who has sort of a relationship to you, you know, you sort of express that sort of friendliness and, you know, common sort of sharing sort of culture. Family and, you know, personal relation is very important in our culture. Embrace the culture, and, you know, a lot of our locals really like that. And, you know, if you show appreciation for the culture, they will show appreciation to you as a visitor, as a tourist. So, you know, embrace the culture and the culture will embrace you back.
My name's Leo Weissman. I grew up in San Francisco, California. I mean, I guess the basic stuff you know, smiling, you can hug people, public displays of happiness are pretty common, pretty well accepted. At the same time, I guess in America we're not too physical about it. You know, you wouldn't be hugging or kissing everyone because you're super happy about something that's not as normal here, but definitely public displays of happiness, you know, you score a goal in a sports game, you're pumping your fists and cheering and stuff like that. And there's definitely you know, America's a big country, lots of different ways people find happiness, but sports is definitely what people would consider an American pastime. People love playing sports growing up. People love watching sports, you know, football, baseball, basketball, whatever. Celebrating, you know, cheering on your team, stuff like that. This is a pretty big one, especially for me personally. You don't have to be as reserved emotionally in the U.S. as you are in some parts of the world. You don't have to keep everything internally here, but at the same time, don't go over the top. Don't be touching everyone, and you know, mind boundaries while you're displaying whatever you want to display.
Nathan Seabury, Switzerland, Geneva, Switzerland. In comparison to the US, where I feel there's sometimes a culture of, for example, laughing at waiters if they were to mess up, that would be completely unacceptable in Switzerland. You would get horrible stares from everybody in the restaurant if you did anything like that. National pride would be a good example, kind of in the US. Swiss people definitely have a very strong sense of their Swissness, a point of pride for them. And then it's also kind of an individualistic society like the US, so people really celebrate accomplishments like winning races or something like that. Tell them not to laugh at other people's expense or you know, bring awareness to somebody else's embarrassing moment.
Wuhan, China. Well, in China, we display happiness really by laughing. And one most important difference between American and China is that we don't really show our teeth. That's most important because, and in American, show your teeth is kind of, you know, showing your confidence, but in China it's different. It's disrespect. So when we laugh, we usually cover our teeth, or you know, with a book or anything else, or just smile like this. Family, most importantly, friends, and successful work, and any kind of achievements that you consider in your life. And the most important thing is that to keep your attitudes to yourself. When we first met someone, we don't know, we don't really show our attitudes. We just keep it like professional. You might want to avoid any, too much of body contact, but as you get to know your friends more and becoming friends, and it doesn't matter.
My name is Marvin. I grew up in Indonesia. So if they want to feel happy or anything, it's more to their close relatives or to their close friends. But in general, they don't really. We're not really expressive with other people. So we just kind of keep it to ourselves. For me, it's friends. And sometimes it also depends on your social status as well. Sometimes money can really play well into the level of happiness that you're trying to get. But in general, I would say it's more like your family, your friends, because that's where I grew in a culture where family is a priority. So I feel like family and close friends is a number one source of happiness. You say hello, smile a lot, because Indonesians are very well known for their smiles. So yeah, just smile, say hi, especially if you're a foreigner from Europe or American, they'll probably welcome you